and welcome to EBADay 2019 in Stockholm. I'm Hannah Wallace, and kindly joining me now in the TV studio is Tsvetanka Nankova of Deustche Bank, and we're going to be discussing some of the pain points in correspondent banking. Hello Tsvetanka, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So yes, the pain points in correspondent banking, can you highlight what some of these are?
Yes, with pleasure. So I think one of the probably pain points, or one of the areas where the industry is struggling with, is potentially KYC and AML. I think that would be probably at the top of everyone's agenda at this stage, given the speed of regulation that we've really seen during the past few years. But that is probably another area that we need to tackle. One of the things that we also need to bear in mind when it comes to speed of regulation, because it's a big topic that we've seen discussed at a lot of forums, is actually the complexity of regulation. And I think this has been one of the challenges that a lot of us face, right? How do we interpret certain regulatory requirements, and then in addition to that, how do we adopt these in the industry, but also within each specific institution. Transparency is a big topic that we've discussed, expectations in terms of our customers, as well as, again, the regulators. So when it comes to transparency, one of the specific issues that we've seen, again, be touched on all the time is really, how do we process transactions when it comes to the road that we choose from one point to the other? Clients are keen to understand how we do that. In addition to that, fee transparency is another issue. And then when it comes to the regulators, they also expect to hear from us, well, do we actually know, do we understand the underlying transaction, and do we also know who are all of the parties to a transaction, i.e., ensuring full visibility into the payments industry at this stage.
Sure, and we've spoken to quite a few banks at EBADay who, like you, have been highlighting some of the challenges. But what I'd like to hear from you is, what are some of the technologies that are helping in this area?
I think one of the things that we need to bear in mind when it comes to technological development is we need to be cautious, right? On the one hand side, it's helping us become more efficient, right? Clients, regulators expect speed and efficiency. But then on the other hand, technological innovation also brings some challenges with it and some risks, right? A lot of the discussions that we've heard here on the panels also go back to kind of instant payments equals instant fraud. So that's something that we need to be careful. When it comes to recent innovation and recent developments, I think one of the areas that we fully embraced at our institution, and given it's a network business, we absolutely appreciate all of the developments that SWIFT has fostered in the past few years with regards to the SWIFT KYC registry, but then also the SWIFT Global Payments Innovation Initiative.
All right, well, what are some of the risks associated with these process transformations then?
Yes, I mean, I think I mentioned instant kind of payment, right? That's something that clients like to see, especially a lot of the retail clients with a lot of the fintech entrants. Instant payment equals instant fraud, right? We need to get better at ultimately processing transactions. We have to be quicker, but then the risks associated with those transactions and our ability to recoup and to recall some of those funds would be at risk, right, if you're ultimately crediting a beneficiary instantaneously, right? So that's something that we need to bear in mind. In addition to that, when it comes to technological innovation, introducing new platforms, new technologies, something else that we also need to understand, especially when it comes to liquidity, for example, right? Everybody's talking about real-time liquidity. You also need to absolutely make sure that you also understand the expectations of the corporate clients. Something else that we potentially need to kind of think about is, again, the complexity of the regulation. We need to be thoughtful in the way we adopt new technologies. They have to be flexible such that they can accommodate future changes as well. Because where we stand at the moment, that's not the end game, right? There will be more and more changes. Regulations will be becoming ever stricter and stricter. And as such, the agility of technologies, the platforms that we use, will be critical to being successful as well.
Well, coming back to those changes and the crystal ball question, as it were, what does the future of correspondent banking look like? Do you think it's sustainable?
So for me, correspondent banking is definitely there to stay. I think there's been quite a bit of debate in the industry, especially with all of the entrants, such as fintechs, But one of the things that correspondent banking offers, it's that breadth, the network that, well, fortunately for us, right, a lot of other types of entities do not have at this stage. One of the things, however, that we need to make sure happens and which we need to do better going forward is work together better as an industry. We need more partnerships when it comes to key forums, when it comes to key industry initiatives such as with GPI, and I think we've seen they have brought us a long way forward. So this is something that we need to embrace much more strongly in the future, and I think we will have, you know, the best of luck and success going forward when it comes to this business.
Certainly some exciting developments ahead then. So Tsvetanka, thank you very much for sharing insights. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.